Like we have rightly pointed out, we have an array of issues we're looking at this morning, definitely talking about the confab being put together by the Patriots, talking about constitutional amendments or putting together a new constitution, as well as also looking at the legacy of the late former President Muhammadu Buhari. And definitely we look at stories making the rounds on the front pages of the newspapers, as well as stories that are trending now later on the program. But let's begin with the story where Nigeria's headline inflation rate dropped to 22.22% in June 2025, down from 22.97% recorded in May, according to the National Bureau of Statistics. The NBS disclosed this in its latest Consumer Price Index report released on Wednesday. The year-on-year figure reflects a 0.75 percentage point decrease from the previous month and a significant drop of 11.97 percentage points compared to June 2024, when inflation stood at 34.19%. Now, this decline in annual inflation comes amid the implementation of a revised base year, with 2024 now serving as the new reference point for price comparisons. Interesting, Etoma. Talking about reduction in price year on year, when you look at that, 2024 is now the basis on which we can make comparison based on that report. And so we are now comparing prices between what happened perhaps May of last year and what happened in May this year. And we're looking at if there's an increase or decrease, but as it is, there's seemingly a decrease based on the report that is coming out now. But when you look at food inflation, it also shows that there is a drop as well, because that is one thing that concerns a majority of Nigerians. When you're talking about pricing, of course, Ibrahim will speak more on that because he's the market man. And because at the end of the day, what happens is, how does this reflect on our daily lives? If we are talking about the rise or the drop in inflation, how does this affect our daily living? When the average Nigerian wants to get something, can they afford it? Is it reflecting on the price of goods and services as we go out there to either purchase one thing or the other? That's what is being said. But I think that it is a good one, but should we rest on our oars?
Definitely not. Definitely not. Look, if you want to succeed in anything, you have to give yourself a benchmark. So saying that 2024 is the benchmark at which they are checking prices, that's a step in the right direction. That means you have a focus. You know where you shouldn't go below. And so far, maybe because of that decision, there are deliberate steps being taken to drop the inflation, no matter how small. The difference between last month and this month is just 0.75, but it is a decrease. It's not an increase, and it's not a steady pace, which is progress. I keep asking myself, where will this inflation reduce? At what point will inflation reduce to that the average Nigerian will feel it? Food inflation, as you said earlier on, is the one that really concerns not most Nigerians, but every Nigerian in Nigeria. We want food inflation to go as low as 3%. If not 0%, which is that possible?
Well, if we put the right framework in place, if we address fundamental issues like we spoke about yesterday, security challenges, one of them, because if farmers cannot go to the farm, what is left? Everybody will want to scramble for it, and then there will be an increase in price, whether we like it or not. But from your perspective, what are you interpreting from this?
You know, when I see this, I just think they are numbers. Because I want to go practical and go to the market. How much are these stuffs? We're talking about food inflation. And I tell you, Veronica, it's still expensive. You know, when I saw the news, the first thing I Googled is, can I still use 10,000 naira to cook a pot of soup? And it's not possible, let's be honest, except you want to cook a soup that's not nutritious.
It depends on the kind of soup you want to cook.
Except you want to cook a soup that's not nutritious, but 10,000 naira cannot really cook you a nice pot of soup that will last you for like a week or two. It's not even possible.
Nice is relative.
well, my people know what I'm talking about. I just can't wait for it. And I want to really hammer on food inflation, because that's the problem. We are still talking about the fact of transport is still there. People are still paying. I feel like it's not just going high, but it's still in the middle. I feel like more can be done. So let's not celebrate this, because normal male Nigerians are still, speaking about it, that things are still high. So I don't want us to be celebrating this when it's like on the streets, people are still suffering. People are still going to market and food is still expensive. Tomato is still expensive. Bag of rice is still expensive. It can go lower than this for Nigerians to be able to cook nice meals, like I said.
Ibrahim, and is that nice meal? I want to agree with you because I know you go to the market. 10,000 naira can cook one pot of soup. First of all, then you can now go ahead.
It can cook a pot of soup for you.
It can even cook more than a pot of soup, depending on the kind of soup you want to cook. I don't know what kind of soup you have in mind.
Veronica, please, you agree with this?
No,
So
what kind of soup you have in mind?
It can cook pot of soup.
What kind
it
of soup you have
depends.
in mind?
If you want to cook vegetable,
so seafood
a bunch of vegetables.
You went to the sea.
Even if you go to the sea,
you can still buy something.
When you're not gluttonous, you're not taking.
Yes,
see,
yes.
The thing, don't let us start cooking.
To feed a family of 4 or 5.
So it now depends on the parameters you're putting.
It may be for a day.
But
10,000 for a day, Veronica.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Well,
so every day you cook a pot of soup.
Let's talk about. Let's go back to the issue. As we know, it actually dropped significantly to 21.97% year on year in June 2025. That is down from 40.87% in June 2024. So that's a decrease of 18.90 percentage points. But month-on-month inflation is still, quite high, which has increased from 3.25% increased to 3.25% from 2.19 in May 2025. So that is driven by staples like tomatoes, pepper, crayfish, and plantain flour. I guess that's a concern for RIA. That's why they're saying that. But if you look at the economic implications, the continued decline in inflation could ease the cost of living pressures, no matter how little. At least we need to celebrate our little gains, no matter how little it is. But month-on-month uptake suggests challenges remain. But analysts are now saying that yes, it's relatively stable exchange rate is also speaking to this fact. That's why we're seeing Dangote refineries reducing the fuel price little by little, and I share in your optimism that it comes down to a point where I don't know about zero, but a point where we'll all be, happy for it. So that's one thing. So we just want to see that we celebrate this little, and then we want the inflation rate to come to at least single digits. So
well, let's not celebrate too much. That's what I'm saying.
The issue is that we need to keep our eyes on the ball. That's the essence. That's what you are saying, and that is what I am also harping on, that we need to keep our eyes on the ball, stay focused, and address whatever issues. If we're addressing issues and we are just treating symptoms, then we are not dealing with the root.
Exactly.
Let's get to the root of the whole matter and address it, because if you look at the breakdown as well, there are certain states that saw significant decrease, and there are some states that it's slow when you're talking about inflation. What are these states doing to ensure that the people of the state can live at a certain level, and some issues are addressed in terms of inflation, be it food or whatever it is, while others are still on the high? Look at Benue State, for instance. Look at Borno State, for instance. There are some issues. What are the indices? I think that states need to look at themselves. State governors need to look at one another. What are you doing differently that is keeping your economy stable and ensuring that the cost of living is such that everybody in your state can afford things? It's not as high as what my state is witnessing. That's right. So they need to start comparing notes to see how they can develop. It's one Nigeria, for instance. 36 state governors, they have meetings. So these kinds of conversations should be on the front burner from my perspective, for them to look inward and address, if your state is doing well somewhere, what can I borrow from you? So I think it's something that has to be addressed. Yes,
very quickly, Ria, I don't know. Let's just quickly do one math or the other. If you want to get pepper, you can still get pepper for as low as 2,000 naira.
You still want to cook this?
No. I'm just trying to, put it into a proper perspective.
Okay.
Vegetable, you can still get it for 2.5. And then what else do you add? Locust beans.
You would not put. You wouldn't eat with protein.
Protein, what kind of protein?
You can get shrimps a kg for 3,000 naira.
For 3,000 naira.
So how much have you spent already? The transportation to go.
After this show, we will cook this. We have